Feel like the world is rigged against you? It is. But in 2008, something changed. We got some rules that lets 8 billion people trade freely. No banks, no permission. It's called Bitcoin. And the moment you step into it, prices fall. Technology works for you. Time becomes abundant. This world is coming for everyone, but only if Bitcoin doesn't make one critical mistake. Stay with me here, because in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you the world you're about to live in and the one thing that could destroy it all. Quick context on why everything feels broken right now. There's something called the Cantillon effect that explains why your salary never keeps up. When governments print money, they give it to banks first. Banks lend to corporations. Corporations buy assets, and by the time that money reaches your paycheck, prices have already gone way up. You're always chasing inflation that you can never catch. Throw in government bailouts, subsidies, creating monopolies, and increasing taxes, and that is the rigged system. Bitcoin breaks this model completely. Here's how. It is the first thing ever that lets strangers exchange value globally online without a bank, without a government, without permission. One open network, no CEO, no headquarters, now settles more daily value than Visa. Think about that. A system with no middlemen just outcompeted the largest global payment network on Earth. Now, let me ask you a question here. What rules would money need to have to create the first global free market that has ever existed? Seriously, think about this, because from first principles, I believe it needs 5 things. Decentralized, no single point of control. Open to everyone, one protocol. It can only be this one. Bounded by energy, can't be faked digitally. And secure, it can't be hacked. I'll show you later why only one of these is the real threat to Bitcoin. But when you really think about it, as long as they all keep working, the world I'm about to describe becomes inevitable. And this isn't theoretical. A country smaller than Switzerland just became one of the largest sovereign Bitcoin holders on Earth, using energy that would have just gone to waste. The Kingdom of Bhutan started mining Bitcoin in secret using surplus hydroelectric power, energy that would have been wasted. They didn't announce it, but someone spotted hash huts next to their dams on satellite images. When discovered, they'd been stacking sats since Bitcoin was $5,000. And today, their holdings represent roughly 40% of their entire GDP. As Daniel Batten describes,
the environmental impact is virtually negligible. It's using 100% renewable energy. It's an asset that would have been wasted, that they have in abundance, and it's creating prosperity for an entire nation state.
They use the profits to increase government salaries by 50 to 65%. Civil servant resignations dropped from 1,900 to 500. They refurbished their airport. Zero marginal cost renewable energy, no IMF loans, complete sovereignty. One small kingdom, zero permission needed. Now imagine what this could do for 8 billion people. Let me show you what that world looks like. My dad's first laptop cost £4,000. It was massive, slow, battery lasted 2 hours. I remember him being so proud of it. Today, my £500 phone is 1,000 times more powerful, better screen, better battery, weighs nothing, does everything his laptop can do and way more. So let me ask you something. Why did that happen? Because technology makes things more efficient. And here's what nobody tells you. This is the natural state of a free market. Everything should be getting cheaper over time. Not just technology though, everything. Seriously, think about this. It's way more efficient to cut down trees now than 70 years ago. The materials we use for houses are way better. We have better design, better building processes. Building a house should be way cheaper now than it was in the 1950s. Not 50 times more expensive in dollar terms. The only reason prices go up is because the money is broken. Quick clarification, Bitcoin isn't what makes things cheaper. Bitcoin is neutral. Fixed supply, 21 million, that no one controls. It's the free market that makes things cheaper when money can't be printed. Because the natural state of the free market is deflation. But until I understood this next part about competition, I honestly did not believe this. Here's what most people miss about free markets. When someone sees a business succeeding, they think I can do that better for cheaper. So they compete. Not a race to the bottom through cutting corners though. That's the rigged game with bailouts and subsidies. This is continuous improvement through genuine competition. Jeff Booth calls this,
it's 8 billion people in service of 8 billion people.
Think about that. We've never lived in a world where everyone serves everyone else and prices fall forever. Until now. This is the first time in history it's possible because the money can't be controlled or printed by anyone. Right, so far deflation is natural, competition drives prices down, but broken money breaks this system. So with Bitcoin, what does this actually mean for your life? Let me show you with my own story. I was a PE teacher for 10 years, about £32,000 a year, teaching kids who didn't really want to be there, filling out paperwork nobody really read, no way out. Then I took a £700 SEO course from a Facebook ad. I used it to rank a home gym website on Google, and within 2 years of doing this part-time on the side, I was making more from affiliate commissions than from teaching. Here's what broke my brain. I spent £30,000 on university over 4 years, but a £700 course that I did in a couple of weeks changed my life. Not because university is useless, because the gatekeepers of information are dying. Sal Khan said,
if Isaac Newton had done YouTube videos on calculus, I wouldn't have to.
One genius creates the perfect video. Millions learn for free forever. And people are already living this. Rob and Sylvia in Madeira built a learning community where kids direct their own education. I'll show you their full story in a moment because it proves this isn't just theory. In a free market with neutral money, savings actually work. By 21, you could start with some savings instead of £50,000 in debt. Capital to launch a business or invest in real skills, not debt forcing you into jobs that you hate just to pay it off. The technology exists. Khan Academy is free already. YouTube has millions of hours of expert teaching. The only thing blocking this is a system that profits from keeping you in debt for credentials you don't need. Rigged game, gatekeepers extract value. Free game, knowledge flows freely and you keep the value. You see the trap? The system doesn't just take your money, it's taking your time. So here's the question everyone asks. That sounds great, Mike, but I don't have time to homeschool. I can barely exercise, let alone educate my kids. Plus, I have to work overtime just to put food on the table. Fair point. So what does this actually look like in a global free market? Let me show you with Rob and Sylvia. They moved to Madeira where they could live in a Bitcoin circular economy. Here's what changed for them. They earn in Bitcoin, they spend in Bitcoin. When money can't be inflated, the free market actually works. Everything gets cheaper every year. Check this chart out. It shows what happens when you price things in Bitcoin instead of dollars. Not hypothetically, actually. And this is their reality that they have been living. Food, rent, cars, all falling in Bitcoin terms. And because their purchasing power increases every year, one of them doesn't need to work anymore. They have time to homeschool their kids. At 4 years old, one daughter spoke 3 languages fluently and could read some Thai.
So for example, she's 4 years old now. She speaks fluently, she speaks 3 languages. So she speaks Spanish, English, and Greek. She can read a little bit of Thai because we spent a few months in Thailand.
Not because she's a prodigy, because when kids learn what they're actually curious about, this is what happens. And they're not just homeschooling their own kids, they're teaching other children in the community, building a learning community where kids direct their own education. This is what time abundance looks like. Not because they got rich, because their money works for them instead of melting away.
Future Mike here, and I've just got back from Bitfest in Manchester, and I was just speaking to another mum about this vision. Funny enough, we're both former teachers, and first thing she said, but I don't want my kids home all day, and also I'm not really equipped to teach them everything. And she's right, but we're not supposed to be. When people have time, the free market will respond. Daytime reading groups, math tutors, science workshops, dance classes, all competing to serve you. You're not just going to be replacing school with DIY chaos. You're going to be choosing from abundance.
You see the pattern? In the rigged game, you work to survive. In the free game, you work to live.
And also we all tend to underestimate our kids' natural ability and willingness to learn, and also underestimate our own ability to facilitate their learning.
And when you have time, something else changes. Food. I actually spoke with Rob and Sylvia at Manchester Bitfest just today, and I asked them what's actually different now that you're living on Bitcoin. They said we're growing food again, real food. They have time to cook and share meals with neighbours and time to build a community. Just think about that. In the rigged system, government subsidies make processed garbage cheaper than real food. Corn syrup, seed oils, factory meats, all subsidised. But in a Bitcoin circular community, real food becomes affordable again. Local farmers can compete, and you have the time to actually enjoy it or do it yourself. And this is what time abundance creates. Not just freedom from work, freedom to live. In the rigged game, you eat alone from the microwave. In a free game, you feast together at a table. You see the pattern? More time, better food, stronger community, all because money works.
And here's where it gets really interesting. In a deflationary economy where prices fall every year, something unexpected happens. Government becomes less important. Not because we're eliminating it, because fewer people need it. When your purchasing power doubles every decade, you don't need food stamps. When education is free online, you don't need student loans. When housing becomes affordable, you don't need housing benefits. Welfare exists today because the money is broken. Fix the money and most people don't need welfare. Dominic Frisby has a book on this called The End of the State. And this isn't done through force, but it's just done slowly over time by them not being needed. But here's the question everyone asks. What about healthcare? What about the NHS or about Medicare? Won't people just be dying in the streets because they can't afford to be treated? This is where it gets really interesting. When employers in California made patients price conscious for hip replacements, prices dropped 37% almost overnight. Why? Because patients could finally see the price and went where it was cheaper, forcing everyone to compete. There's a doctor in Florida, Dr. Lee Gross. He kicked out insurance companies and posted every price online. Under $100 a month for unlimited visits, less than your phone bill. No hidden costs, no surprise bills. And then someone asked him, what if a doctor opens next door and charges $40 a month? He said,
we're onto something because that question has never been asked in the American healthcare system ever.
Remember what I said about competition making everything cheaper? Listen to this.
So that doctor and I are going to have to compete on price and quality. And I'm going to have to justify why my price is twice as much. Maybe I provide better service, maybe I'm just better trained, have better credentials, have more experience, but something tangible is going to have to justify that, or I'm going to have to lower my prices and to compete, or I'm going to lose patients to the person down the street.
That is exactly what a free market looks like. Want a doctor who knows your medical history, who does home visits? You can have that for $100 a month. Want just urgent care with no frills? That's $40 a month. Competition means you get to choose what matters to you. Healthcare gets better and cheaper every year. Rigged game, middlemen, insurance companies, hide prices. Free game, transparent prices create value. Now hold on, because what I'm about to show you sounds impossible, but it's actually happening in San Francisco right now. Your car sitting in your driveway, in 5 years, it could be earning you £200 a month while you sleep. Sounds insane, right? Let me show you how. In San Francisco, right now, self-driving cars are operating 24/7. You can hire one using the Waymo app from your phone. Combine this with Bitcoin payments and here's what you get. Your car drives around earning money for you while you sleep. You hire one for pennies compared to today's taxi costs. In 2024, these cars drove 7 million miles with fewer accidents than human drivers. And that technology is the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better. Think about what this means. Every hour commuting returned to you. Every delivery driver working 60-hour weeks gets their life back. The technology exists right now. The only thing stopping it? Regulations protecting taxi monopolies. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Mike, if AI takes all the jobs, how do people survive? Now hold that thought, because Jeff Booth is going to answer that perfectly in a minute. But first, here's what people miss. In a deflationary economy, you need less income. If prices fall 30% in 5 years, losing your job might mean freedom. Your car earning £200 monthly isn't taking someone's job. It's giving you options you never had. Technology doesn't destroy opportunity. It redistributes time. Every taxi driver freed up can do something else. Every delivery driver gets their time back. And in a deflationary economy where prices fall, you need less income to maintain your lifestyle. Technology doesn't destroy opportunity, it creates abundance. Rigged game, technology feared, jobs protected by force. Free game, technology embraced, humans freed to do what they love. Remember, I will show you the one thing that could break Bitcoin from becoming the first global free market. But this next part changes everything. Did you know there are 16 million empty homes in America? Housing affordability is at crisis levels. When money melts at 7% per year, people use houses as savings. They have to become landlords just to preserve their wealth. Bitcoin fixes this, because Bitcoin gives people an actual sound place to store value. They wouldn't need to learn a second job to preserve their wealth from their main job. Housing goes back to being utility value, a fraction of the current cost. Building becomes more efficient. The cost reflects actual resources and labor, not the speculative premium. A house becomes what it actually is again: shelter, not a store of value. Now, I know what you're thinking, Mike, this sounds like fantasy. Fair, so let me show you the proof that it's already happening. Bhutan, 40% of GDP in Bitcoin. Electrification in Africa. In rural Kenya, they generate 530 kilowatts, 200 go to the village, 330 to Bitcoin mining, which makes it profitable in the first place. Without Bitcoin, electricity would never reach that village. Rob and Sylvia in Madeira, living on a Bitcoin circular economy. Everything gets cheaper every year, homeschooling their kids and others in the community. See the scale? Nation states, communities, families. It's already happening. Yeah, but people losing their jobs is bad, right? Danny Knowles asks Jeff Booth the question everyone's thinking.
But if people lose their job to AI, they're still going to need to buy groceries, which even if the prices fall, there is still a price to those groceries. So how does that work?
So if you're in Bitcoin, you already see it, right? If you were in Bitcoin 4 years ago or 8 years ago, and you just bought $100 a week, you never have to worry about groceries or anything else again right now.
Don't believe him? Here's the math. $100 per week for the last 8 years gets you 2.9 Bitcoin. Living off $5,000 a month today, you'd only spend 2.7 Bitcoin over the next century. You'd never run out. Not because Bitcoin made you rich, because your purchasing power grew while prices fell. In a deflationary economy, you're not on a treadmill trying not to fall off. Today, you need a second income just to maintain your lifestyle. Overtime, side hustles, all to keep up with inflation. In a free market, you improve to serve people better, not to survive. But won't monopolies form anyway? Monopolies exist today because governments protect them. Monopolies pay the politicians who create subsidies and rules to squeeze the little guys. In an open protocol like Bitcoin, there's no mechanism to block competition. Alright, but this really does sound too utopian. It does, but remember, this wasn't possible before 2008. Bitcoin is the enabling technology here. Decentralized, open protocol, bounded by energy, that's secure. Maybe hyper-Bitcoinization happens in 10 years, maybe 50, maybe 100. But here's the thing, it happens for you personally, whenever you choose. The door is open, you can walk through it anytime. Most people ask, will I get rich? The right question is, will I be free? As long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, this is where we're all moving. And you can't be late to a free market. There are no barriers to entry. You just choose to step in. Look, this is exactly why I started this channel. Not to sell you Bitcoin as an investment, but to show you what's actually happening. Phones got cheaper because technology improved faster than money could be printed. Bitcoin fixes the money, so everything gets priced like phones do. Most people see Bitcoin's price going up $1,000, then $10,000, now $100,000. But that's backwards. Bitcoin hasn't changed at all. Dollars got printed. So when you price things in Bitcoin instead of dollars, everything is getting cheaper over time. That is the free market working. But everything I just showed you depends on one big caveat. Bitcoin must stay decentralized. That is the one threat. And most Bitcoiners don't realize what they should be doing about it. My next video breaks down exactly what keeps Bitcoin decentralized and what you can do. Watch it before deciding anything about Bitcoin. Because if you don't understand decentralization, you're not living in a free market. You're gambling on one.